Order. The next call is a split call. Materia Ture, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The suburbs of this country were built by the state at a time when we had seen when housing in New Zealand was at an all-time low. This was in the 30s, when people were living in slums, and the government of the time, the first Labour government, if I remember rightly, committed to ensuring that all New Zealanders, every New Zealand family, would have access to a decent home, because a decent home is critical to a family being able to stay well and be well, to stable work, and to a well-functioning and orderly society where we know that everybody is doing well. That is what housing provides, that security and stability for everyone. Over the last 10 years in particular, we have seen a radical revision and erosion of that principle, an erosion of the principle that housing is a right, and that the government has an explicit and very important role in helping provide stable, secure housing for New Zealanders. What we've seen is government has allowed the private market to take control, and as a result of the private market having total control over housing provision, we have seen increasing amounts of homelessness, but also massive increase in the cost of housing, to the point where there are thousands of older people, a bit like myself, actually, I will put myself in this category, who have got children who are in their early 20s and are looking to have a family. I have a child in her early 20s, who are looking to have a family, to settle down and have absolutely no opportunity to buy themselves, her or her partner, to buy themselves a decent home in which they can start their life. No opportunity at all, because they have been locked out of housing. These are the families, they're perfectly ordinary families like yours and mine, not just those at the very bottom, but perfectly ordinary middle-class families who are locked out of housing because this government has not ensured that the housing supply has continued at a rate that means that everybody has the same opportunity for security and stability in housing that we and our parents had. Don't forget, our parents built the security of their lives on housing, often through Māori Affairs home loans, through the cheap borrowing that was possible, through the state housing system that was designed to provide for the middle and working class, just as it was for those at the very bottom. We have lost the value of housing as a human right, as critical infrastructure, as the right for our children to a secure lives. And this bill erodes that even more by making two ministers of the Crown effectively the private landlord for 60,000 tenants in this country. 60,000 families are now renting off, essentially, the two ministers, and this bill allows them to sell those homes, those state houses built by our parents and grandparents for our children. The bill allows these two ministers to sell that housing to anyone they choose, anyone at all. There is no obligation that those state houses stay for state housing purposes for the people who need it most. No obligation. These ministers can sell to any corporate entity anywhere in the world, to any major international corporation who may not have any involvement in New Zealand, who may not understand the New Zealand community and have no commitment to making sure that housing remains for the security of our families from time to come. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is what this bill does. It is the absolute end of the erosion, the process of the erosion of housing for New Zealanders. So let's not we hear a lot of rhetoric. Let's be really clear here. Middle-class working New Zealanders have been locked out of the housing market by this government. Those at the very bottom end who need help the most have no security of their homes now. And we will see the privatisation, the selling off of one of the major assets that our grandparents and parents built for us and for our children. So this bill should not proceed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.